to a show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Mask Podcast. And I'm so glad you're here. Yeah, you guys listening. I love you guys. For this episode, this is going to be kind of a, new, like fresh starter and seasoned veteran type episode because I have two guests here with me today, all the way from Sweden. Like, they're not here with me, but we doing this remote. And the first guest I want to introduce, he's a friend to the podcast. He's been on several episodes, and he's just a freshly promoted black belt here. I want to welcome back Mr. Johan, all the way from Sweden. What's up, Johan? How you feeling?
Yeah, still trying to, get used to, being called professor, but yeah, I'm fine.
You'll get there. And then also, all the way from Sweden, who trains with Johan.
No, she's actually down in the Czech Republic.
Oh, my stars and garters.
Yeah.
All the way down in the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Look at this. We international like that up in here. Well, I want to welcome. Let me just make sure I'm getting this right then. You're a white belt, right?
Yeah, I think
All
so.
right.
I am.
One stripe.
Don't say. Nobody needs to know.
Hey, you got a stripe. I didn't get any stripes. They just kept making me do it and said, all right, take this blue belt and go away. I want to welcome first time to the show, Miss Ellie, all the way from the Czech Republic. Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
To be here.
Good. Well, thank you for making the time to do this. And I can't stress that enough. Whenever anyone makes the time to do the podcast, I do greatly appreciate it because I'm disrupting your day. So thank you for doing that. So I guess the first thing I really want to kind of ask is like to Johan, just with getting promoted to black belt and everything, how's it feel?
Yeah, as I said, it feels strange, but I'm starting to get used to it now. I kind of knew it would happen because my coach, he hinted it a bit, but yeah, it's a big thing. But I didn't think it would be as big as it was because I got more congratulations from people when I got my black belt than when I turned 40. So yeah, that's that. But
it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
Like, people turn 40 all the time, Johan. Not everybody gets black belt.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's true.
So it's a big deal, my friend. So, like, if I don't have the sound machine, but if I did, I get the applause and clapping going on. But yeah.
Thank you.
Congrats, my friend. And Ellie, you're doing jiu-jitsu. How long you've been training, and what led you to jiu-jitsu?
Well, it's a good question. I think I started when I joined the internship in Sweden, and we've spent probably two months with Johan, and that's about it. And now I just get to do it on Fridays here in Czech Republic, actually. So that's probably as much training as I get. And when did we start, Johan? Somewhere around the fall? Something?
Yeah. If we backtrack from the competition, I think was it 3 months?
Yeah, I think 2 months actually. But
2 months.
Month, I didn't do anything.
And what led you to, like, just, you said you're doing an internship?
Yes, I was here for my internship in chemistry, and I wanted to spend my free time doing something just not sitting here in Sweden in darkness being depressed. So I found self-defense classes, and there was Jan, and then it all like started to move towards jiu-jitsu, and there we are now.
Yeah, and we should tell that this was in the fall, so it's really dark and depressing. So you need to have something to do. So, and I'm really glad she showed up. So yeah,
good. It's like, oh, it's going to be dark, depressing. So let me go fight people. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, the other thing I was doing was fencing a little bit, but you get only this many sessions during the week, so you need to fill the rest of the week with some sort of activity. Otherwise, you will be noticing that it's really dark outside and cold. So
yeah, that's like, I always try to remember that when I think about like Sweden. It's like, oh yeah, so I remember I'd see pictures of like, it's like late night, like what we would say late night here is like, oh, it's like 10 o'clock, but the sun is up. That's weird. Or it was like midday, but it's super dark. Like,
yes, that's Sweden for us, for the foreigners. Like, so strange.
Yeah, and right now we have daylight all day around. So yeah, it was actually, I think, it was Midsummer Eve this Friday, and that was the shortest night during the whole year.
Yeah.
Okay, did the sun actually set down?
No, not really. It just touched and went up again.
So it's just like basically it's bright.
Yeah.
The whole like, and it barely gets like dark, and then it's like, how do you like? I guess you'd have like blackout curtains or something, like, because I'm a child. If I see light, I want to go out and play. I'm like, hey, I'm awake, and my brain ain't gonna function right.
No, it can actually be pretty grueling. We get used to it, but we had Brandon Mullins here from Texas for I think it was 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks during midsummer, and he had real problems sleeping. He was like getting all messed up. So yeah.
My daughter, whenever springtime gets here, and then we have the daylight savings time, and when it's bedtime, it's like, all right, honey bunny, it's time to get ready for bed. It's like, Dad, like, it's still light outside. It's like, okay, it's still 8:30. You're still going to bed. Kids are outside playing. She can hear them like running out past our like front yard. I'm like, why can't her room be in the back? But yeah, enough about my curiosity about your sunlight and lack thereof in the fall. So Ellie, with your training in jiu-jitsu, like what were your first thoughts when you started? Like, did you have any prior martial arts experience, or was it just something like,
yes.
Let me jump in?
No, it wasn't like really jumping in and knowing nothing, because I've actually been doing karate for quite a while, and I have some experience with MMA and a little bit with Thai box and stuff, and also with BJJ, but that was like just a couple of weeks at tops. So it wasn't like a blank piece of paper completely. Like, there was something, but not really much.
And like going into it, or just getting out there on the mats, was there any like nervousness, like, even though you have martial arts, like with karate and everything, did you feel like, okay, I'm just a white belt again? Or
this is again a super good question, because I was pretty much convinced that my body type is not really suitable for the ground and stuff. So what my mindset was coming into this, that I always need to avoid the ground, because that's a place where I'm weak at. And actually, Johan there kind of taught me that it's quite the opposite, that I don't have just the advantage of the reach when I'm standing, but also on the ground. So that was quite a surprise for me. So of course, at first I was nervous, a little bit, but mostly it felt like playing. So we were just playful.
Yeah, I got surprised when I heard she thought her body type isn't good for grappling. I see it otherwise because she is tall, long legs, and yeah, you know the type. They are annoying. All legs.
I was just
Yeah,
about
just
to say,
legs, nothing else.
Yeah.
Just legs and one brain cell.
I have teammates with long legs that it's frustrating because they shoot those triangles quick, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
all right, like we'll work our way out of this. But also when they're trying to explain a move to me, and I have short, stubby legs, and they're like, no, do you just do it like this? And it's like, you realize my leg doesn't reach that far, right? Like, but yeah, like having long limbs in jiu-jitsu, that is ideal because you have so much more ground covered versus us shorter humans who you're like we're just doing this because we want to fit in. So and your prior experience with karate, like you've been doing like karate all your life, or
No, I would say it might be something around like 12, 13 years. I'm not sure really. So it's
But
been quite a while, but not really
yeah,
like all my life.
but
I
that's
just
basically your life. That's
it's still a
yeah,
long time.
yeah, okay, you got me there. But it's not like I started when I was a young kid, like at
Okay.
5 or something. I actually started when I was in puberty, so that's quite like a late bloomer in the sports setting, I would say. Because originally, the sports that I was doing was dancing, and I really loved the skirts and glitters and stuff, and I was just missing something. And turns out the thing that I was missing was violence. So there we are.
Yeah, I was just thinking as like you're doing all the things dancing around. You're like in the area of like violence. It's like I'm missing something. Like let me go fight someone. Like okay,
Yeah, you need to fight someone. You need to cuddle them really intensely.
Yeah.
I think everybody should fight someone at least once just to know if it works. Like you got to know, is this for me? And sometimes it's scary when
But
people are like, it
actually,
is.
it's just so true because like I believe that most of the people go throughout the life without being slapped to their face even once, and then they are all brave and they don't really know what they are asking for.
Yep. I know too many people that they say, "Oh, I'll just do this and I'll just do that," and they've never been punched before, and it's like, oh boy, do you not know? Because even me, like I haven't been punched in a long time, like with intent. Like in jiu-jitsu, I got kneed in the face and then kicked in the head the other day, and it's business as usual. But when you get hit with intent,
Yep.
it's shocking. You're like, oh my god. Like,
Yes, and what's actually the funniest is when you're at the self-defense classes, not actually the self-defense classes with Johan, because that's pretty much peaceful, but here the self-defense classes that I've joined in past, you can actually see people that are being slapped to their face for the first time, and you can see it on them, the sudden realization, the change of the mindset, like, okay, so this is how it feels.
yeah, that's a difference maker though. It's like once you get hit, and if you've never been hit, it's like there's a switch in your brain where you're like, either okay, we're here, or I don't want to be here.
Yeah. Then you can, this actually like shows you the true character of the people, because you can see if they either freeze or flee or if they fight back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that's something that everyone probably has naturally inside of them, and like this kind of like shows you how it is for you.
Yeah, I mean, like thinking about just being a kid in school, whenever you see like certain people get into a scrap or something, there are some kids, they don't want no part of it, but then there are other kids that are looking for it, and it's like that kid might need martial arts in their life. They might need a hug, maybe a life coach. Like that kid's looking for a fight, and I don't know why. Like hit me again. So with I find it interesting though, thinking too, is like, because like, I know Johan is like, when you say his self-defense classes are peaceful, and it's like going into that, it's like, what was your mindset going in and thinking like, okay, self-defense, were you like, all right, we're about to go in here and fight, and then it turns out like pretty chill? It's like, were you confused? Were you like, man, this isn't real?
I need to tell her to be nice all the time.
Yeah, because you're playing with the people, and suddenly you are playing a little bit more, and then you hear Johan there, like, be nice, and then you look at him and you see the look, and okay, then we are done playing. We're done playing.
Hey, I mean, sometimes it'd be that way sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's not like it would be like mean-spirited or something. Like,
no.
You can always hear me laughing at the sessions, so it's not like I just go in there and stomp and push kick the people. So no, it's just me having fun.
You did push kick me.
But that was an accident. I really didn't mean to. But...
well, it was nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you're just coming in.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to push kick you so much. It was supposed to be like gently pushing you away with my foot, and it just happened. It timed correctly, and you stepped in.
Yeah.
That's what they say. It just happened. He's like, oh, I'm bleeding from my chest. It's like, oh my god. What kind of jiu-jitsu is this? And Johan, when Ellie came in, obviously, you're seasoned veteran, so you know how to welcome people in and get them comfortable on the mat. Like, how quick was it for you to get her like acclimated, especially with having previous experience with just martial arts in general? Was it just like a fish to water almost, or like was it at least kind of breaking down some of the ground transitions and ground game? How was that for you bringing her in?
I think you see pretty much directly if the person is built for this, and with Ellie, it's like I could see directly on her way of moving and her movement that she would be able to do this pretty well. Also, I think we have we have the same kind of mindset when it comes to training too. So yeah, we clicked pretty much directly, and it wasn't hard to get her to go to the other classes either. So it was like, I asked, I think, if she had been done some previous martial art, which I always do when I see that people have when I see they have movements or I see they have body control, and so it was pretty easy transition, I think.
Good. Have you well, I mean, I would imagine so, over the years, but like, having someone come in and it's like you just like see someone like as soon as they step on the mat, you're like, oh no, this might not be for them. And if you did encounter that, were you able to kind of eventually get them kind of acclimated?
Yeah, I think there are a few people which when you step into the mat and you're like, okay, this will be a lot of work. And often those people will quit maybe in the first month, or maybe they will continue the first semester, but they usually quit because everything isn't for everyone, I used to say. But there is this guy in the beginners class which lack of words, but I thought it was hopeless in the beginning. But he actually bloomed out, and I think after 1 year or 2 years, we had a sparring session in the beginning, in the end of, I think, this last semester, the previous semester before Christmas, and he was the only one who managed to pass my guard. So yeah, but he's like, if you try to tell him to do stuff like drilling a technique, he get all confused. It's like nothing works. But if he starts to move and he end up in sparring, then you can see the cogs are when he doesn't have to think, the things are working. So yeah,
He and I share that in common. Like I love the drill, but I just like I don't know what's wrong. But then once we go like to live rolling, once we're sparring, not a problem. Like I hit the moves and everything. But if we're like, like on Sundays we have a open mat and we're just drilling, and it's so like frustrating for me because it's like I'm trying to do the move and I'm just messing. And, I got other like teammates like, well, no, like do it this way, and like here, maybe like position your like you gotta like maybe bend this way, and I'm like, but once we go live, it's like, like. Oh, it's weird. You can do it like while you're going full speed, but you can't do it slow. And we always have that saying: if you can't do it slow, you can't do it fast.
Yeah.
Then there's me.
Yeah. Well, El is the same, so we're kind of three in that. So.
Oh, look at us triplets.
I think it has to do something with the overthinking, because
Yeah.
when you're just drilling the stuff, then your brain has all the time to overthink the whole movement, and that's actually the time when you switch off the brain for the drilling.
Yeah.
Basically the same as you do in roll, and just focus on the small points there.
I know in the beginning for me, just everything, whether it be drilling, whether it be sparring, I was just always overthinking everything.
Yeah.
And at some point, halfway through white belt, I just shut my brain off, which isn't hard to do. And during sparring, everything's wrong, but during drilling, well, like when the professor's explaining and I'm watching, I'm looking, but my brain is somewhere else. And then
Exactly.
and it's go time. It's like, all right. And I look at my training partner, like, you want to go first? You should go first. It's like, no, I insist. You go first. Please go first. But once it's go time, we figure it out. That's like I said, like partway through white belt, I realized, just let your body move natural. And
Yeah.
I just can't figure it out for drilling yet. I think I'm thinking too much. I want to make sure I'm getting it right. And then if coach is looking, it's just all these things. I'm like stop looking at me. Like, why are you doing it that way? I don't know. You showed me this. I never showed you that. I'm surprised they haven't kicked me out of that gym yet. They're just like, this dude's a lost cause. But he keeps showing up on Friday and Saturdays. And for you, Johan, like you said, you kind of knew the black belt was coming. How did you feel like did you feel like like I'm not ready? Like, because I know a lot of times, any of those other belt promotions, a lot of times you get people like, I don't know if I'm ready for that blue belt. I don't know if I'm ready for that purple belt. Like, did you have a little bit of that, or were you like, yes, finally conquer the world?
Yeah, well, I think I said to you before, this art or this sport is, well, jiu-jitsu is like, you never think you're good. You never feel good. You never feel like you know anything. And that kind of stays. But I think this was the belt I actually felt like, yeah, I got this. The purple one was worst, I think. At the same time, it was one of the most fun belts to get. But then it was like, yeah, now I have a target on my back, and if I go somewhere, people will be gunning for me. It stayed through brown belt too, but when I got now to black, it's like I don't fucking care anymore. I don't have to. I can say no to sparring, and I can say no to people. I don't have to care. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, you've earned it. So you've earned that spot now where you can say, I don't think I want to do this. Not
Yeah,
today.
exactly. I just choose who I want to roll with. So yeah.
True. We had a open mat, a big open mat, 3 weeks ago, and it was so big, like we had to like wait to take turns to get on the mat.
Oh,
It was a holiday, and I forgot, like, oh, there's gonna be a lot. I thought, well, maybe 10, 15 people would show. I think there were like 40 or 50 people there, and one of the black belts called me over, and I had a friend from Dublin visiting, and he says to me later on, I was like, man, that was weird. It just felt like he was bullying you. It was like, I mean, I actually felt honored that he called me over. I was like, oh, you're choosing me? Like, oh my God. And then he proceeded to wrist lock me. I was just like, dude. Like, all the moves. You went to that. Like, God, good grief. But man, like, hey, over there in Sweden, you wrist locking a lot. Like, or
yeah, if I can, or
Oh.
footlocks, or heel
Never
hooks.
mind. I thought you guys were friendly. Never mind.
No,
You choose violence as well.
yeah,
Fair
even
enough.
on white belts. Ellie knows.
So I guess I did know, but maybe I don't care. It's like I was like wrist locking all the white belts, and one of my coaches, I was like, "Are you wrist locking white belts?" And I was like, "Yeah." I mean, well, first off, they're all bigger than me. All of them are bigger than me and more athletic. Number one, and number two is like I was getting wrist locked as a white belt, so I just felt like you earn it. Like once you have color on your belt, you can wrist lock anyone. Like
Yeah,
if you can get it. So
Yeah. Like,
like
you should teach them young.
I agree. Like
Yeah.
I tell the white belts, like when I'm rolling with them, and it's kind of a flow roll, and I'll grab their hand like, hey, and in the moment of like desperation, go ahead and hit one of these. And one of the white belts said to me, like, well, we're not allowed to wrist lock. And I go, why not? I was like, well, coach said, no. I was like, well, don't get caught. Just do it, dude. Like it's there. Like if the wrist lock is there, take it. I hope none of my teammates or coaches are listening to this though, because I'm going to get my ass whipped next time I train. So it's just like get them wrist lock, and I have sensitive wrists, like really sensitive wrists. So if you touch my hand, I tap just because I'm like, oh, I think it's coming. And it's like, dude, I was just trying to like move. Like, sorry, I don't know. I'm scared. And Ellie, for you, do you have a favorite submission that you like love to go to and work?
Yeah, I think it might be either a triangle or the scissors, because both the legs and just one brain cell, so this fits for both. Like you get to use legs and the brain cell.
Fair enough. Fair enough. As you're back in the Czech Republic, like are you're still currently training down there, or
Yes, I am. Every Friday. At least I'm trying every Friday. You need to balance it out with the other stuff, like studying and the other hobbies that I have. So, yes, trying my best.
and do you still do karate and
Yes,
fencing?
of course. I do both, and with fencing, it's a little bit more taking a bit more time to me because of all the tournaments that I do. Johan knows that it's pretty much like every other weekend I'm telling him, okay, I'm training another tournament.
Yeah.
So,
Oh wow!
So that what takes a lot of time.
Is there anything like from your experience in fencing? Like, is there anything that you kind of carried over to like jiu-jitsu? Is there any like not even just like physically, but like any kind of like prep work or meditation or breath work, stuff like that?
Yes. I think there's actually quite a lot, because if you think about the human body, it's still the same no matter the sport. So it's going to bend in the same way and behave quite similarly throughout all the different combative sports. And I think what helped me with the fencing is the tournaments that I've done in past, because it's like some sort of pressure that you put on yourself and that gets you ready for the fighting.
Yeah, I can weigh in on that too, because she did one jiu-jitsu competition here. And that was kind of a joke, because I told her, I saw the competition, so like, yeah, should we go and do the competition? And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And then we had 2 weeks or 3 weeks to prepare, and she had only trained.
Because the 1 week I wasn't really decided if I wanted to
No.
do it or not.
So we had to speed run everything, and she had been training for like a month with me. So yeah, but you could see at the competition that she had already competed, because she wasn't nervous. She just did exactly what she was told, and she was really easy to coach. One of the most easy person to coach I ever coached. So yeah, it was the breeze actually.
Good. That's good. I always find that being coachable is one of the most important things in any kind of activity, period, because a lot of times you get folks coming in, they're like, oh, I know how to do this, or coach asks you to do one thing, you're like, well, no, it works better for me if I do it this way, though. And there's nothing wrong with knowing how your own body works, but also too, if you're a white belt and you got a black belt or a brown belt or a purple belt, saying you might want to, like, look, you're gonna get hurt doing that. You're gonna get up, your wrist is bending wrong, you're gonna wrist lock yourself. And then you're like, oh. Whereas those individuals that are coachable, and they trust the process, they trust their coaches, like, hey, move a little bit to your left, okay, and then boom, it lands. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. So you do understand, get it. Johan, have you tried any fencing?
I actually have been fencing, like it was way back. We talked about it, me and Ellie, before, and I think it was the same gym here when she was in Sweden. So, but way back. But it was like when I was 15, 16 years old. So way back. But it's fun, and we were actually going. Well, she was actually going to drag me to the fencing, but then we ended up in competition preparing mood, so we didn't have the chance to. But in the future,
the priorities are quite clear for us.
Yeah, but we will have a rain check on that, I suppose. So
I feel like you threw a distraction there. She was like, "Hey, you want to let's go fence?" And you're like, "Hey, there's a competition coming up. You want to do that?" It's like, maybe. It's like, yeah, and also here.
That was definitely it, because I'm quite taller than Johan, so he was definitely trying to avoid me with the fencing situation.
Yeah.
So now I see. Thanks.
When I tried to spar with you, it's like, okay, she's tall. I don't want to have anything to do with it. It's when she have a pointed stick against me. So no. I want to live.
Like, stop poking me.
Yeah.
I don't like this anymore. I had a coworker years ago, before I actually started jiu-jitsu, because I was, back then I was playing football and basketball. So I'm like doing things that's victimized my body, and I was just in a lot of pain. I was like, I need a new hobby. And one of my coworkers, he was like, you should try fencing. And had it been any other coworker, I probably would have taken that suggestion and tried it. But this was a coworker that was like, he was a nice guy, but it always felt like whenever he would suggest something, there's some sort of motive to it. And I was like, I don't know.
It always starts with the like, he was a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, this guy, he was really, really friendly. He would, help everybody, give you the shirt off his back. And then, before I knew it, I was, we're in a sword fight and he stabbed me, and, now I'm missing an arm.
Exactly.
Like, it's so bizarre.
They always look nice, like all the fencers. They look super nice and super friendly, and then they stab you and tell you, like, this is what friends do. Come here for another round. No,
we're having fun. We're having fun.
Bruised. I don't want that.
Well, I think in any of our activities, whether it be fencing or jiu-jitsu, it's like it always seems like, from the outside, people looking in like, why are they doing that? They look like, they seem so nice, and now here they are like fighting or like trying to stab another person. Like I don't even know you. Which I'm sure my coworkers feel that way with me. Like I don't see my coworkers because when I work in a field where I'm out in the community, so we don't really come back together for anything. We do our meetings through Zoom. It's like we don't see each other. But then when I do bump into someone out in the community, I'll have on like a jiu-jitsu shirt and they'll ask me questions and they're like, "Oh, you seem so like well mannered and da da da." And then the joke's like, "Hey, don't mess with Dante. He'll fold you up like a origami." And I'm like, "No, actually, I wouldn't. I'm actually super nice." like, if something went really weird and a fight broke out, I'd actually try to break the fight up like verbally. I'm not a bodyguard. I'm not fighting anyone. I am nice.
Yes,
So imagine
exactly.
me.
And I would say this is true for all the martial artists. They are really super nice and super gentle as people.
Yeah.
And I think it has to do with the sessions because you get to release all of the emotions and stuff during the sessions.
Oh
So,
Yeah. And when you know you can kill the person, you can be nice.
Yes,
Yes.
you can, and actually you learn to appreciate keeping your
Yeah.
arms and legs and face completely untouched in the fights. So you tend to avoid them, and like, okay, if we can settle this verbally, why not do it? So
Yeah. I always find it like when you have the confidence of knowing you can control the situation, there's a lot more confidence in approaching the situation, and I think that like as a fighter too, it's like if you're comfortable, like my coach, he's done karate all his life. He's been doing jiu-jitsu a good portion of his life. He fights MMA and he says, I'm not afraid to throw kicks because if I get taken down, I have the confidence of, knowing, okay, I can do jiu-jitsu from the ground as well. And I find that translates to life, where if there's like an argument somewhere, I don't mind stepping in calmly and, saying, hey, is everything okay? And then if somebody starts barking at me, it's like, okay, I can still talk this down But I know if they try to hit me, I know I should be okay. Like it's not 100%. I mean, I can get clipped and then be spitting out teeth, but I'm confident that I can dodge the punch because most people don't know how to throw a punch. So
No.
like that
yeah,
big
I
loop
think
and like
this confidence comes from like pushing out your comfort zone, which happens during the trainings and actually sparrings, and then it translates to the real life, as you said, and you can de-escalate any situation just verbally or just like standing them there and like knowing that it's going to be fine. We don't want to do this.
yeah, it's like I don't want to do this. I will, but I don't want to. Like there's a video I just saw. Oh, I saw it months ago, and I just saw it again last night. And there's an altercation in a supermarket, and some big heavyset guy is yelling at a lady, and the lady's fiance, kind of comes over and he's verbally, handling the situation, and the big heavyset guy kind of like flinches at him, trying to make him jump, and then that didn't work, and then like he like gives him the middle finger and like puts it in his face, and still nothing. Like and there's that confidence of knowing like this guy, the way the other guy, the heavyset guy is reacting shows that he's not in control and he's not confident. He's he's probably scared actually, which is weird that he's bucking at this guy like that. Meanwhile, the guy who's he's confident, he's comfortable, he knows he doesn't have to do anything. He's like, look, we just want to leave. Like, the guy's like, yeah, get out of my store, bitch. And it's like, he's like, well, it's not your store. So, like, all right. Like, and it's just interesting to see, like, okay, that was a tense situation. and an untrained person probably would have gotten into a scrap with someone. And I don't know that the guy who was being calm was had trained or anything, but he seemed pretty comfortable in not having to do anything physically. But you could look and tell, like, if it went down, he would put that guy in a bad place. So a lot of that translates.
Yeah, exactly. It's always the people that are the loudest that usually don't really present an actual threat. Because if they are quiet, then you have a problem.
Yeah.
When they are loud and expressive and like telling you all the stuff, and this is fine. We actually have a saying that says that would translate to if the dog barks, it doesn't really bite. So that goes for the people too. Like the more they talk big words, then the less it actually matters.
Yeah, I think it's the same in the gym actually, and on the mat. The people who just are quiet and just I'm presuming they are the most dangerous. The one who's barking, well, they might be a handful for the first minute, but then.
Hey man, I'm sitting right here. You can say that right to my face, dude. Like you don't got to call me out like that. But no, I'm for sure not the loud barking guy in the gym. I'm very like once we start rolling, like I've been like singing a lot, like during the rolls, mostly when I'm in danger. I just start singing songs like, hey, like please get distracted, let me go. Like I'm scared.
Okay,
Where's my
that's a
mom?
new one.
Yeah, well, me and Ellie talks all the time, so that was one thing I had to take out of her when competing, because if you talk, you will get disqualified. So
Yeah,
but it's fun. I mean, it's all fun.
That was just a discussion, like, and can I talk just a little? No.
Yeah, no.
I'm not disqualified. Just a little, like, just for myself. No.
Well, yesterday while sparring with one of my good friends, I've had like the old Batman soundtrack stuck in my head from like like the first big Batman movie here in '89. So I got the soundtrack stuck in my head, and I'm like playing along. There's a part where it goes bam 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 bam, and I'm like tapping the mat, and he thought I was tapping. I was like, no. I have a beat in my head. It's like I'm glad this is training and not like a competition, because that match would have been over. They're like, oh, he's tapping. Like, no. I got to the breakdown of the song. I was like, what the hell is wrong with this dude? Like, I don't know. Like, what's wrong with any of us?
Yeah. Well, we like to choke people for fun, so yeah, something is wrong.
Yeah, whenever I talk to my grandparents, and they're a lot cooler about it now, but I remember they used to like, so you still like fighting your friends? Like, it's a weird way to put it. You mean jiu-jitsu? Sure. Now they're cool with it. Now it's like I've been training long enough now where they're like, look, I guess he's gonna stay with this thing. He's not gonna stop. So he's a little bit unhinged. He was a weird kid growing up anyway, so it makes sense that he's doing this. But and even my friends away from the mat, I try to get them to come out and train, and they look at it like, no, like you guys are just like, every time I see you, you're complaining about a nagging injury and you just got choked by somebody. I don't want to do that. It's not fun. It's like, no, it's actually a lot of fun. Trust me. It sounds weird, but it's so much fun.
My big problem, and Ellie knows it, is because I try to convince people to come and train and tell them that it's not dangerous and there are no injuries, and then I pursue to tell them all the injuries I have and everything else.
He's so bad at motivating people. Like, really, don't trust him with any type of pep talk, because that's going to go so bad.
Oh, yeah, it's like, all right, go ahead and we need you to go convince this group of people to come. You're part of the marketing team now. We need you to go sell jiu-jitsu. It's like, oh, jiu-jitsu is super safe. Yeah, you're gonna learn self-defense. Like, and oh yeah, you might run into some issues. Like I just tore my MCL the other day, and my shoulder doesn't like click like as much anymore, but it still does a little bit. I can't turn to my left. It's like, yeah, I don't. That doesn't sound like anything we want to do.
Exactly.
Like,
He will
no.
just keep it on the negative stuff and start adding more and more. Like,
Yeah.
and this
Yeah.
guy, he can't really move his hip, and this one, he has something with his neck, and this one can't really train anymore. And then you're just sitting there and listening, and then I have to stop him and ask him, like, and now are you trying to motivate me to keep going or to just quit now?
Yeah, because that conversation was funny because I actually, in my mind, it's like, we nearly have no injuries in this gym. And then I just told Ellie like 10 people who have injured themselves during the years. Wait a minute, maybe.
Actually, now that I think about it, our gym, there are like hardly anyone gets hurt in the gym. Now that I think about it, there are a lot of people with a lot of injuries, but it's usually from competition. Like, and they're like a lot of wild injuries, like where doctors are like, "Yeah, you probably can't do this anymore." And they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get a second opinion."
Yeah.
Like talking to other doctors, and they're like, "Yeah, you can keep doing it. Just do some, physical therapy, and you'll be fine." And then they come back, and it's like, "Huh, like that something seems fishy." But okay, whatever. But I always find it interesting what people's who don't train think about people who do train, not just jiu-jitsu but martial arts period, because we have movies and TV shows that highlight fighting in one way, and then people look at it in that way that they see it on screen. So you get something like Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee or Jet Li, and they're like, oh, they do all this, or Steven Seagal with Aikido, because
Yeah.
I had a boss who he was training Aikido, and he kept telling me, dude, you don't want to see me. And I was like, dude, I will blast W into that wall. There's no Aikido move that you're going to do that's going to stop me. And on slow days at work, we sit there and like kind of like play a little bit. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, your arm extended like that. You're asking for an arm drag. Like, don't do that. What's wrong with you? Johan,
Yeah.
with being promoted now to black belt, and just the journey that you've had, what's is it right now just kind of keep moving, keep trucking along, just business as usual, or like once you get to black belt, is there like a new plan in your head? Because it's like black belt's kind of the top of the mountain,
Yeah.
so it's like
For
where
us,
you go from here.
for us who isn't the Brazilians, the black belt is like top. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I tried to figure that out myself, because in some ways, I think I told Ellie that too, like it seems like you kind of ended a journey, but at the same time you are beginning a new one. But I have to kind of switch off the thing about I have completed something, because if I have ended something, I might lose motivation or whatever. So I need to find some other way to move forward. But I'm not going to talk about injuries, but I have stuff like my back and my knees, which have been bad pretty much the whole time I trained. So for me, competition isn't really maybe the path to go, because I'm kind of old too. Ellie hates when I say that. But yeah, I think coaching for once will be one of my bigger things, I think. And also just progress and get better at what I do in any way that I can. And right now, my coach, Matthias, he has a really, really bad hip. He probably looks at hip replacement in a few years. And so what we try to do now is to enhance his game. So we try to find the jiu-jitsu which works from him, take away stuff which doesn't work, and put in stuff which does work for him now. So that's kind of a thing we're doing now, and that's and I feel that's the thing I can do as a black belt too. I mean, I have the experience to add and remove, and together with him, I think we can. Well, we joke about it and say, well, when we're done with this, we will have a DVD with jiu-jitsu for old fucks or something. So yeah.
I mean, it's important, you know. So guys gotta we need jiu-jitsu. We need to have it broken down for us. That's going to work for us with bad backs, bad hips, bad shoulders,
Yep.
and can't turn our neck to the left. Because I try, I have to turn my body to the left. And Ellie, for you, I know with all your activities and hobbies, you sound like you got a lot going on, which, you know,
Yep.
that's actually pretty cool. Do you see at any point jiu-jitsu becoming kind of a bigger part of your hobbies, or like, I don't want to say overtaken, but like, you know, carving out more time at some point for you?
Yeah, I actually do. I just need to finish my dissertation thesis, and then I will be back with more free time, and hopefully like making the jiu-jitsu a bigger part of my life. And we actually have like a plan with Johan about me going back to Sweden. So when that happens, and then we are going to step the game up a little bit.
Good.
Yeah. Because it was it was interesting because we only had 2 weeks or 3 weeks to prepare her, and if I would get more time, I think it would be. She has so much potential.
Moreover, now that I can use my right arm to the full potential, then I'm so excited to go there back and do more stuff.
Good.
So,
that's always a question that just lingers in my mind. Is like when people are doing, like when I started jiu-jitsu, I could only train once per week. Just my work schedule was weird, where I worked afternoon to the late evening, and our classes were evenings, but I was off on Saturdays, so I was able to get in. We didn't have Sunday classes at the time, so it was like, all right, looks like I'm going in Saturday morning. And during that time, I wasn't making the most of my time because I didn't get it at the time. But once I changed jobs, everything opened up. I had more time. But I always wonder about, you know, folks who, you know, they enjoy it, but they can only do it once per week. Is like, you know, how long does that last for you? Where you're like, I'm only doing this once per week. I do enjoy it, but you know, you got so many other things pulling at you. So I'm glad that, you know, it is something that, you know, once you have more time, you're like, look, I want to keep going with this.
Of course, like it's a great way to relax. Like I'm always looking forward to Fridays, because I know like the grappling class is coming, and I can close up this week and call it a successful week. So.
Yeah, and actually, she can't say anything else because I'm here. So I mean.
Johan, for everything that you've done, you know, jiu-jitsu wise, and getting to your black belt, discounting getting the promotion to black belt, what has been like your proudest moment in jiu-jitsu?
Actually, for myself, I think my goal was when I started, because I started this when we got our first kid or first child, and I was like, okay, I always have done martial arts, but I needed to find some martial arts which would fit into this whole family puzzle and everything. And I found jiu-jitsu, and it seems great, but with promotions which isn't set in every semester. It's like more flowing with promotions. So my goal was like, okay, if I will get my blue belt before I retire this, I would be really, really happy. So that was my goal. And so when I got my blue belt, that was a big thing for me, actually, in a way bigger than the black belt. But yeah, so in that hindsight, I think the blue belt is one of most what I'm most proud of, because I had to put in a lot of work for it too, and also balance my personal life and my family life, and I managed to do it. So after that, like, everything just flowed on. So then the second part, I think, actually, I am really proud of the last competition I did with Ellie, because it was such a short notice, and I didn't know how to approach it. Normally, you need to have a few weeks of drilling techniques, because she was so new at things. So I talked to my coach too what to do with it, and he said like, well, you can't do anything with it. Just just go with it. So I made up a plan with doing, instead of wasting time drilling, we just did stuff in kind of a live environment. And to me, it seemed like this worked really, really well, not only for Ellie, but I think it's a really good way of learning. So this is a thing I will probably incorporate with my teaching instead of this drilling, because if you drill, I think you end up in like this Aquarius situation, which, like, you can do the things when you drill, but when you end up in a live situation, they won't work. So I think this was a better way of teaching, and I also think that was a big step for my black belt, actually, the coaching role, and because Ellie did really, really well at the competition too. So, but yeah, so my blue belt and the last competition with Ellie, that's the two things.
Yes, it's like, when the point that you just made there too about drilling versus kind of, the doing it like in a live situation. I think that's so important, because when we are drilling and we are able to get it down, it's like we're doing it in a perfect situation.
Yeah.
And it's tough, because for my brain, if I'm in a live roll or if I'm in a match and I'm going for a move, but the situation isn't perfect, then I'm not going to go for it, because it's like, well, the steps aren't there that was there during drilling, versus if you're live sparring, like flow rolling. And I was like, okay, I land here, but I know I could get it from there. So that's super cool. And I got to start utilizing that.
Yeah, I actually started to think about techniques not in step by steps, rather in principles. If you have a triangle, you need to figure out what is what makes this technique tick, or what makes this triangle ticks. What's the steps I need to take to make a triangle work? If you do that, you can utilize it in nearly all situations instead of just the basic situation. Because normally you go in and you drill the basic triangle from like bottom guard, and you never end up in that situation in sparring. Never. I in my 16 years with doing this, I had never pulled out the armbar from that position. So when I started to think about the principles in all the techniques, it got really easy for me to figure out when to use them in rolling too. And that was the same thing I tried to do with Ellie, and it seemed to work out pretty well.
I actually ended up in a situation yesterday to get my triangle, but because it's never happened, I didn't know what to do. I was like, ooh, I don't know what to do from here. I never thought I'd make it this far. So needless to say, I didn't get the triangle. We were there in that diamond position for a very long time, because I was just freaking out, and he's freaking out like, well, what are you doing? Are you gonna go for it? I'm like, I want to, but I'm so confused. And also, he was a little tall, like he was postured up, so I couldn't really reach up to get my shin and like break his posture down. But I was like, oh my, like when you said like, we're never in that situation. I was like, you're right, we never are, except for yesterday. The one time in my life ever I'm in that situation, and I didn't know how to do it. I was just like, dude, I don't know how to do a triangle from here. And we drilled it this way for years. And now I'm like, well, screw this. I don't want to do this anymore. Let's just go for the Kimura. That's what I know. Give me that arm.
Yeah, but it's the same thing as when you manage to pull out something on the coach, and it's like, wait a minute, I have him in a triangle. Should I should I actually finish this, or is this some kind of devious thing he has planned to do something else with me after this, or whatever?
Yeah,
So
it feels like a
yeah,
trap.
yeah, it feels
Yeah,
like a
this is
trap.
this is the overthinking part.
Yep.
Mhm. I had my coach in a cross choke, and I I'm sitting there, I'm working, and he's just staring me down like he's not phased. And I was like, well, I don't want to burn my arms out. Let me transition. So I let go and went to a butterfly sweep. And he says, like, afterwards, like, why'd you let go? And I was like, it, I didn't, I mean, it wasn't doing anything. I was going to burn my arms. I was like, no, I was in a bad spot. I was like, well, you're staring at me like you weren't in a bad spot. You're staring at me like, you're thinking about going to get ice cream afterward. Like, this was like, I was worried. And I was like, man, I'm going to burn my arms out and he's going to beat me relentlessly. So I let go. And then he ended up tapping me, later on in the roll. I was like, dude, don't. Like, see, it's the overthinking. I was
Yeah.
thinking too much about, like, man, my arms. Let me just go ahead and get the sweep. And meanwhile, if I just went with my instinct, I would have gotten them, and I was like, yes, got him. Now give me a black belt. What? That's not how that works. I want to real quick before we wrap up. I've been trying to do this lately. It's like I've been doing the would you rather questions with folks, and I've been trying to make jiu-jitsu specific ones, because all the would you rather stuff is like, super general. Like, would you rather eat, ice cream, or would you rather have frozen yogurt? Things like that. It's like, well, they're both delicious. So there's no win or no losing. But I was like, I need some that are jiu-jitsu specific. So I got a couple here that might be relatively jiu-jitsu specific or sport specific. So
Okay.
I want to ask you all. I wish that the screen font was a little bit bigger. Look,
Are you getting old?
I hit 46 back in February, and my eyes don't work even with my glasses on. And I'm just like, oh man, this sucks. And I should have known better. All right. So the first one is competition based. Would you rather compete in a higher weight class, or would you rather compete? Well, Johan, I don't even know if this counts for you now. You're a black belt, or would you rather compete in a higher belt class? I'm gonna give that to Ellie.
Okay, so what's the weight difference we are talking about actually?
Let's say, I don't know, because you all do kilos, so I don't even know what's the
Just put it like 2 weight classes up or 1 weight classes up, like the steps.
1 weight class up, just to be, because it's not too often you're moving 2 up.
Yeah, I think we would be fine with that actually.
Yeah, she already did it.
Oh well then that was rigged. You guys knew. You guys already had the answer.
Let me explain, because when we were actually like talking about this competition stuff, then Johan actually told me that there's a girl in this other gym and she's about your weight. So I was like, yeah, sure, that's great, and she's also new. Yeah, perfect. So that's a perfect matchup. And then the next week he actually came in. Okay, she might be a little bit heavier. And this actually continued, and then we came to the competition, and there I was told that it's like this expedition match, or like, I don't know now, Johan. And then I was just sitting there and asking, like, is this her? Like, there's this big buff guy walking through the door. I'm like, no, that's not your girl. And there was even a bigger guy. And is this her? No. But yeah, she was a little bit heavier than I am at the time of the competition. So actually, I would say, like, this is maybe better than going against someone who knows more stuff than you do.
True.
Actually, with the like more advanced people, I expect them to have more like competition experience on me, and nothing beats that.
True. Very, very true. I think I would do the same. I would go with the weight class too, because like, if I'm out there going up against higher ranks, they're just running laps around me, and I'm just like, dude, this is embarrassing. If you're bigger than me, at least I know. It's like, look, I got some tricks for you, fat boy. But if you're a higher rank, I'm like, ugh, like I got tricks and you're just deflecting them, and I feel silly. And my family watching right now. My daughter just owned me. She was like, oh, that ain't my dad. Let's see here. So this question I'm going to ask is, would you rather in training get better? Like for your training, would you rather get better or have fun? Like there's no, like, I know for a lot of us, like we can have fun to get better at the same time, but if it's a hard line, like you're going to get better, but you're going to have a really strict coach that's like chewing you out, or you're going to have fun, you might not be as good, but you're having fun. Which would you rather?
For the stage in my life, fun.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, actually.
Triplets, all of us on the same page here. I've seen the coaches that are like super strict, and it's like, dude, like it's not that deep, dude. Relax. Versus like the coaches that are just like having fun with it. Like all my coaches are that way. They're like, have fun. Like, and there's a weird balance with being strict, but they're more fun than strict. They're only strict when like you do something really, really silly, which is me 80% of the time. Just but still, you gotta have fun. You can't get better if you're not having fun. Let's see here. Would you rather go up against a blue belt who has wrestled all their life, or would you rather go up against a white belt, and this is in jiu-jitsu, who's had years and years of judo training?
Wow.
I take the judo guy.
Yeah, I would say probably the same, because like with them I would feel slightly more unsafe while standing, but once I survive the takedown, then we can actually start doing something. But the wrestling, no.
Yeah, the wrestlers can be really, really bad if you get them on top of you. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, and I don't know if I told you, but the coach in the MMA gym, he was actually a wrestler, and he trained like, I would say maybe 10 or 15 years somewhere in the Sweden, but I didn't really listen to him when he was telling us all this all these stories. So.
Oh, that's
they have
cool.
a lot of stories.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like, I think I agree, because it's like once you get to that initial throw is scary. I got thrown. Was it last Wednesday I trained. I was going against a purple belt, and he clearly knew judo. Like, I saw him set me up, and I was able to kind of, thwart his advances initially. One point I tripped and I fell back on my tailbone. I was like, "Ooh, that hurts." And he was cool. Got back up and went back to work. And he, I don't know the technical names, so we're, don't even try me on that. But he was going for a hip toss, and I was like, "Oh my god, I got him right now. I can just, I can get a suplex here." He was a big boy. He was like taller than me. He was thicker than me, and I was like, "Okay, I got this. I didn't have this." And he hit me with the full force of the earth. And when we collided with the mat, I don't know. I just felt like my soul was like, it didn't leave me, but my soul was definitely making plans to move out. And I just said, like, and he was super nice. I was like, "You okay?" And it's like 3 seconds. It was like, yeah, we good. Like, I forgot we were like, shit, let me get my knee in here. Let me wedge and try to move. It wasn't terrible then. Once we're on the ground, I was like, okay. But that initial hit, I was like, oh no.
Like, I don't know what about these guys, but once they touch you, your feet are off the ground and flying. Like that's basically my whole experience with these guys. So don't let them touch you. That's it.
Yeah, and then when you're in the air, it's like everything goes in slow motion, and you can start to start to think about your life, like what the heck did I do wrong with this? And yeah,
What got me into this situation? How did I deserve it?
yeah,
that's always my thought. It's like you hear the record scratch, and it's like, yep, that's me.
yeah,
Probably wondering how I got here.
yeah.
That's how I felt when it happened. I was just like, oh boy. And once we landed, it was not fine, but it was okay-ish.
Yep.
But wrestlers just it's like if you can't stop them from getting you to the ground and you want the fight on the ground anyway, like they just grind and they like maybe I don't like them anymore. I'm about to go to my gym and try to get all the wrestlers suspended. All right. Well, either way, though, I love them all. Still, they're great people, great judo players, great wrestlers, wonderful humans. So let's go ahead and wrap up there. Johan, thank you, my friend. Thank you for everything you've always done, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Your promotion. Yeah. When I saw it, I was living vicariously through you. I teared up a little bit. I was like really, really happy to see it. So even though like you gave me the heads up, hey, it's coming, but to see it, it's like, oh my God, he's got the black belt on. That's so cool. So congrats on that, and thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
And Ellie, thank you for doing this. Thank you for sharing your experiences, and I'm glad that once you get the time, you're gonna stick with jiu-jitsu, and I can't wait to see.
You must do it.
Yeah, there's no negotiation now.
Nope.
It's like you sign up your soul to the devil.
But I can't wait to see where the rest of your journey goes, because jiu-jitsu, as we all know, it's unique, and then once you really embrace it, it becomes something special. So I can't wait to see the rest of your journey, and I'd love to have you back on and talk further as your journey continues to grow and learn more.
Yeah, okay, it was lovely talking to you.
And before we get out of here, Johan, you got any shout-outs or mentions that you'd like to drop for us?
No, she's here.
Johan, you've been here before. I asked you about shout-outs and mentions. You should have a list.
No, but really, there was other guy who got promoted to his black belt also at the same time as me, Marcus. Shout out to him. We're the only, together with Matthias, we're like three. We're the only three Gracie Bar black belts in the north of Sweden now. So wow. And with him, we started about the same time, got our blue belt at the same time. Then he moved to Luleå and been there for a while, but moved back this year. So it was fun to actually wrap up the story, and he got his black belt at the same time. So yeah, Marcus.
Good. Well, shout out to Marcus, and congrats to him as well. And Ellie, before we get out of here, do you have any shout-outs and mentions that you would like to mention?
Well, again, like Johan's right here, so, I don't really know, because there's so many people around me who have been like supporting me throughout this journey, and like we would be sitting here for quite a long time. Until I name all my friends and family and like the people I've interacted with. So like it's like generally everyone around me.
Well, so they made you who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, good. Well then I'll go ahead and do my shout outs and mentions as we exit here. And as always, to the listeners, thank you. If y'all have any questions, concerns, or criticisms, always feel free to reach out. You can find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram, or Off the Mats Podcast also on Instagram. You can email me at offthemats2020@gmail.com. I check the emails, but I'm gonna be honest, it's mostly like scammers trying to trick me into stuff. So if you email me, just say not a scammer, because then I'll know you're not a scammer. But then the scammers are probably listening now. They're gonna say not a scammer. Paradox. But thank you everyone for listening. I love you guys. I want to give a big shout out to my crew over at Nerd Rage Radio, Bobby, Chris, Joe, Ricky Tiki, Marilyn, Phil, Raul, all you fellas. I love you guys. If it wasn't for Nerd Rage Radio, I wouldn't be doing podcasts. So I started with them, had to branch off, and I gotta get back over there and see those guys. Also want to give a big shout out to my other podcast. So you like horror? If you like scary movies, go check it out. We just did the Crow episode. Finally, we did the Cursed film episode talking about the 1994 film The Crow and all the shenanigans going on behind the scenes and the Lee family curse. So go check that out. And we're currently working on an episode where we talk about what's a good introduction horror film or scary movie for children. Not like, really bad scary movies, but like, like kid friendly, like Scooby-Doo, stuff like that. So we're going to talk about kid horror on the next episode. So go check that out and enjoy, because we enjoy doing it. And last but not least, I love to give a big shout out here to both my guests, Johan, the black belt, Ellie, the fencer. Thank you guys for doing this. I appreciate you. And this was a fun time. And Johan, I always love talking with you, buddy. We got to do this more often.
Yeah, we got to do it more time.
They're like, I'd love to do another UFC wrap up episode with you, because those are fun. It's just lately I actually haven't been really watching fights that much. Not like how I used to, like where I'm like in depth, like observing. I've just been watching them. They've been on. I'm just like, okay, it's over. Someone got knocked out.
Yeah.
I'll move on with my life now. So we'll get together for something upcoming.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I love all you guys that are listening. Thank you so much. And you know what it is. You guys keep listening, and we're going to keep making these shows. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.
They born with it. Now let me sing a song.